You add something to your cart, you buy it, it arrives, and within 2 weeks, you've forgotten you own it. Sound familiar? Impulse buying costs the average person $150 to $300 per month, $3,600 per year on purchases that felt urgent in the moment and meaningless a week later. But here's the thing most people get wrong. Impulse buying is not a willpower problem. Treating it as one is why most attempts to stop it fail. You don't need more discipline. You need to understand why it happens and change the environment that causes it. Impulse buying is driven by emotion, not logic. And emotions move faster than rational thought. When you see something you want, your brain releases dopamine, the same neurochemical triggered by anticipation of a reward. This happens before you've consciously decided anything. The desire to buy comes first. The justification follows. This is not a character flaw. This is basic neuroscience. The problem is that our environment, online stores, social media, push notifications, sales countdowns, is specifically designed to trigger this response as often as possible. Trying to out-willpower a system engineered by billion-dollar companies to make you spend is like trying to stay awake while someone administers sleeping medication. The odds are against you from the start. The solution isn't stronger willpower. It's creating friction between the impulse and the purchase. Understanding how this is engineered makes it much easier to resist. Countdown timers. Only 2 left in stock. Or offer ends in 3 hours. Create artificial urgency. In most cases, these timers reset. The urgency isn't real. One-click purchasing. Amazon's Buy Now button removes every step between impulse and transaction. Each step you remove, no login, no address confirmation, no credit card entry, increases the impulse purchase rate significantly. Recommendations people who bought this also bought are not helpful suggestions. They're calculated to add items to your basket. Flash sales and notifications. Timed deals and app notifications create a fear of missing out that bypasses rational decision-making. Knowing these mechanisms doesn't make you immune to them, but it creates the split second of awareness that allows you to pause. The most effective single tactic against impulse buying is the waiting rule. For any non-essential purchase under $100, wait 24 hours, add it to a wish list, close the tab, and come back tomorrow. If you still want it and can justify it, buy it. In most cases, the desire fades within hours. For purchases over $100, wait 72 hours. 3 nights of sleep dramatically changes how you feel about most purchases. The excitement dissipates. The practical reality of whether you actually need it becomes clearer, and in many cases you can't even remember why you wanted it urgently. Studies show that over 60% of impulse purchases that go through a 24-hour wait period are not completed. The buyer simply moves on. This rule doesn't prevent you from buying things. It just slows the process down enough to involve your rational brain. Most things you genuinely need, you'll still buy after the wait. The ones you don't buy were impulse purchases you saved yourself from. Before any non-essential purchase, apply the cost per use test. Take the price of the item and divide it by how many times you realistically expect to use it over the next year. That gives you the true cost per use. A $200 jacket you'll wear 100 times this year costs $2 per wear. Good value. A $50 gadget you'll use 3 times costs $16.67 per use. Probably not worth it. This reframes the question from, can I afford this? To, is this worth what I'll actually get out of it? Those are very different questions. And the second one is much more useful. Apply this to every discretionary purchase and you'll quickly develop a feel for what's genuinely worth buying versus what just looks appealing in the moment. Quick pause. If this is helping you think differently about spending, hit subscribe. We post free content like this every week. Now back to the methods. The wish list method is simple and highly effective. Instead of buying something the moment you want it, add it to a wish list, a dedicated list in a Notes app, a saved items list on the retailer's site, or a simple spreadsheet. Give each item a date when you added it. Review the list once a month. For anything you added more than 30 days ago, ask yourself, do I still want this? How often would I actually use it? Could I borrow it, rent it, or find it secondhand for less? Most items on a wish list never get bought, not because you talked yourself out of them, but because the desire naturally faded once the urgency of the moment passed. The ones you still want after 30 days are the ones worth considering. This method also creates a natural gap between income and spending that allows savings to accumulate. A powerful habit. Before any impulse purchase, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself what emotion you're feeling right now. Boredom, stress, loneliness, and frustration are the four most common emotional triggers for impulse buying. Shopping provides a temporary dopamine hit that temporarily masks these feelings, but the underlying emotion remains and the spending cycle continues. Start noticing the pattern. If you find yourself browsing online stores when stressed or bored, that's not a coincidence. Identifying the trigger is the first step to replacing shopping with a healthier response to that emotion. This isn't therapy, it's pattern recognition. Most people who track this for 2 weeks notice clear patterns. Impulse spending spikes after stressful days, on Sunday evenings, or when they're procrastinating on something else. Once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. The final piece. Replace the impulse with something else. When you feel the urge to buy something, the urge itself doesn't disappear because you resist it. It needs somewhere to go. Build a new default response. Go for a walk, make a cup of tea, text a friend, do 10 push-ups, read a chapter of a book. Something physical and offline works best because it takes you away from the screen where the trigger exists. Over time, and this takes weeks, not days, the new default begins to replace the old one. The impulse to scroll and shop diminishes because it's been replaced by something that doesn't cost you anything. Impulse buying is engineered, emotional, and environmental, not a willpower problem. The solutions are structural. The waiting rule, the cost per use test, the wish list, removing triggers, the emotion audit, and building a new default behavior. You don't have to become a minimalist. You don't have to stop enjoying shopping. You just need enough space between the impulse and the purchase to make a conscious choice. Subscribe for more practical money tips every week. And drop a comment below. What's your biggest impulse buying trigger? See you in the next one.